Good morning, dear students. My name is صادق Naaser. I'm assistant instructor. For this lecture, we'll have a comprehension first passage. First of all, I'll read the passage for you, and then we'll discuss the questions about the passage. We can read of things that happened 5,000 years ago in the Near East, where people first learned to write. But there are some parts of the world where even now people cannot write. The only way that they can preserve their history is to recount it as sagas, legends handed down from one generation of storytellers to another. These legends are useful because they can tell us something about migrations of people who lived long ago, when none could write down what they did. Anthropologists wondered where the remote ancestors of the Polynesian people now living in the Pacific Islands came from. The sagas of these people explain that some of them came from Indonesia about 2,000 years ago. But the first people who were like ourselves lived so long ago that even their sagas, if they had any, are forgotten. So archaeologists have neither history nor legends to help them to find out where the first modern man came from. Fortunately, however, ancient men made tools of stone, especially flint, because it's easier to shape than other kinds. They may also have used wood and skins, but these have rotted away. Stone doesn't decay, and so the tools of long ago have remained when even the bones of the men who made them have disappeared without a trace. Now, after finishing the passage, we'll discuss the questions concerning the passage, and then we'll jump to the vocabulary to give the meaning of each word or phrase in regard to the passage. Now turn the page on 6. Comprehension. At the top of the page you have the title Comprehension. Here under Comprehension you have give short answers to these questions in your own words as far as possible. Use one complete sentence for each answer. That means you have to give a meaningful sentence in regard to each question. The first question is, how can anthropologists learn about the history of ancient people who haven't left written records? And the second question, why did ancient men prefer to use a flint for making tools? If we take a look at the first question, how can anthropologists learn about the history of ancient people who haven't left written records? We can see that this question begins with how. That means we have to explain the way in which these anthropologists have something to record the history of these people. And I think you can find the answer here on page 5. After the full stop, the only way that they can preserve their history is to recount it as sagas, legend, handed down from one generation of storytellers to another. These legends are useful because they can tell us something about migrations of people who lived long ago. This is the answer of the first question. But before having this written, you have to omit or delete the question word how and begin with the subject of the sentence, which is the anthropologists can learn about the history of ancient people who haven't left written records by. And after by, you have to mention the way in which these people recorded the history of these people. B. Why did ancient men prefer to use a flint for making tools? It's also the same. First of all, we have to omit the question word why, and then to put the subject of the sentence at the beginning of the sentence. And also we have to omit the auxiliary verb did. And we can say ancient men preferred to use a flint for making tools. And here we have to use because. Since the question begins with the word why, we have to use the word because. Here you can say, they may also have used wood and skins, but these have rotted away. Stone doesn't decay. Pay attention here, stone doesn't decay, and so the tools of long ago have remained when even the bones of the men who made them have disappeared without a trace. If we look at the last paragraph of the passage here, you have fortunately, however, ancient men made tools of stone. Pay attention, tools of stone, especially flint. Here the word flint is mentioned in the second answer, in the second question. So that means is the answer of the second question. So here we can say, because of flint is easier to shape than other kinds. This is the answer of the second question. Now, if you don't have any question, let's go to the vocabulary. Under the vocabulary, you will see, give another word or a phrase to replace these words as they're used in the passage. Pay attention. Dealing with the vocabularies, you have to be very careful. Why? Because each word or a phrase has more than one meaning in the dictionary. If you check these words, for example, preserve, recount, migrations, anthropologists, remote, decay, or without a trace. Each one of these words or phrases has more than one meaning in the dictionary. But I want you to give me the precise meaning of the word or a phrase as it's used in the passage here. One or two is very sufficient. Let's have the word preserve. Here the word preserve is on line 3. Pay attention. The only way that they can preserve their history is to recount it as second. So here the word or phrase, first of all, as a part of a speech, it's a verb. So you have to give the meaning of the word or phrase as a verb. And I think the most suitable one to the verb or phrase here, you can say keep. The only way they can keep their history is to recount it as sagas handed down from one generation to another. And also you have the word recount. Recount. It's on line number 4. Now check it in the passage. Check it in the passage. Line number 4. Legends handed down from one generation of storytellers to another. If we look at the words recount here, I think we can use another word for recount or a synonym, which could be, for example, to report or tell. Report or tell. Pay attention. Report or tell could be used as synonyms for the word recount as it's used in the passage. And migrations here, which is on line 6, I think the word migration is better to be explained rather than to give synonyms. And migrations means to move from one place to another. Migrations means to resettlement. Okay. The word anthropologists, which is on line 7, anthropologists here, also I prefer to be explained rather than to give a synonym. And you can use your own words to explain the word anthropologist. You can check it in any dictionary, and you can use also the encyclopedia or Google definition for anthropologist. But you can use a very simple definition for the word anthropologist, that, for example, anthropologist is people who are specialized in anthropology. People or human scientists. People or human scientists who are specialized in anthropology. We have also the word remote. The word remote. Line 7. If you check the word remote in the passage, you'll find that the best synonym for the word remote is far. The word remote here means far. Number 5, the word decay. Decay is on line 15. And I think the best synonym for the word decay is to be rooted away. Rooted away or decompose. Rooted away or decompose. The last one is a phrase without a trace. Without a trace, which is on line 17. And I advise you to read the word in the passage before having its synonym. Read the word in the passage before having its synonym. Let's read the last 2 lines in the passage. Some doesn't decay, and so the tools of long ago have remained, when even the bones of the men who made them have disappeared without a trace. Pay attention here. Before the word without a trace, you have the word disappeared. That means these things have completely or entirely vanished without any trace. Pay attention, without any trace. So here, without a trace, we can use without trail or without sign for the phrase without a trace. Okay, I'll stop here for this first lecture. I'll stop here. And in the second lecture, we'll have the rest of the exercise. We'll start with the sentence, the key structures, and the special difficulties. If you have any question, feel free to contact me or send me any message on my email. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for paying attention.